Is this how your eyes look when you have absolutely no makeup on? And once you apply your foundation and concealer, it starts to look smaller. Just look at the difference. Well, you're not alone, because this is a very common and normal problem. I'm going to break down why this happens and how you can fix it in seconds. Let me go ahead and apply the base makeup on my right side, and we can compare it to the left side, and I can avoid all the mistakes that I've done on my left side, and I'm going to show you how to fix it. I'm going to start with the primer. This is the One Size Secure the Glow Primer. I'm just taking very little and focusing this in areas where I have those fine lines and pores, so it fills it in and smooths out everything before I apply foundation. While this fills in the pores, this is also a very hydrating primer, so the skin feels really nice before you apply anything else over it. Now for foundation, I'm going to be using the One Size Turn Up the Base Full Bead Foundation, and this is in the shade Medium 40G. This is a super high coverage foundation, so I'm taking a drop in the back of my hands, and with the foundation brush from Real Techniques, I'm going to dab it on my right side. Make sure to always start from the center of the face and spread it outward. That way too much doesn't get into your hairline. And if it's a thick full cover foundation like this one, it's also very hard to get it out of your hairline. So always start in the center and move it outward so there's less product collected around the perimeter of your face. Foundation looks good, but it's time to correct all those dark circles, spots and patches, for which I will need a concealer. But before I apply any concealer, let me tell you that the main culprit to make your eyes appear smaller is the concealer. More than the concealer itself, it's about how you use it. First, the overuse of concealer. Applying too much concealer, especially light concealer under your eyes, flattens this whole area. While without makeup you have all these shadows, different colors, now you're flattening everything up by using the same color and a lighter color under your eyes, so it looks more sunken here without any shadows, so it appears smaller. So when you apply your concealer to completely cover your dark circles, you're losing all those shadows, all those colors, and all the contours that you have naturally. Now you don't have any shadows or contours here, so that'll remove all the dimension and make it appear flat and small. Instead, here's how you apply concealer. I'm going to be using my favorite, the Milani concealer in the shade 145, which is a close match to my skin tone. The first step is to cover all those dark circles and spots, and for that you cannot use a lighter shade of concealer because it's going to mix with the blue undertones and start looking ashy. And as you can see, I've used very little in the inner and outermost corners because that's where the dark circles are the deepest. So I'm not overusing the product, and of course I'm using it on my lid as well, and also covering up other spots that I have on my face. After having let it sit for a couple minutes, I'm going to blend it out so it gives me full coverage. If you blend it immediately, it'll shear out, so let it get a little bit dry and tacky, and then you blend it out to get more coverage. Done with the foundation and concealer. Now let's say that this concealer is a tad deeper. You want it to highlight underneath your eyes and you don't want it to look this dark. Rather than using a light color concealer underneath the eyes, take it on your high planes because that's where you actually need to highlight. I'm using a lighter shade of concealer here. This is the Milani concealer in the shade 135. Again, I'm going to let it sit there for a couple minutes before I blend it out. Now what this is giving you is we've concealed our dark circles but also highlighted the high planes. So it does make the under eye bright, but in the right spots. Unlike on this side where we have it right underneath the eye, so that's going to flatten that part and make the eyes appear smaller. Although now we have the foundation and concealer, my right eye is not looking as small as my left eye, because another reason that can make your eyes appear smaller is over powdering to set around the eyes. Heavy powdering around the eyes can make everything so dry and flat, thus reducing the dimensions. And when you have no shadows or dimensions, everything looks flat and small. Today I'm going to show you how to set using the One Size Translucent Loose Powder. Try to take the powder with a powder brush, that way it gets loosely packed and you're not using too much powder around your eyes. I'm going to take just a tad bit and dust off the excess and lightly set around the eyes. And then using a larger powder brush, I'm going to set the rest of the face. Again, I'm taking very less powder, just enough so the foundation and concealer quickly absorb the powder and set. Now, although I've set with powder on my right side, it's not looking as heavy and flat as my left, which means you're keeping the gradient effect under this eye as compared to this eye by not overpowdering or flattening or creating absolutely no dimension. Now let's bring the depth back by using makeup. Simply put, you're going to be using dimension using contouring and highlighting. Now the first step to create the dimension is to add shadows, which we call contouring. From the Boring palette, which is my collaboration with Ofra Cosmetics, I'm going to dip into the lightest brown shade. This is called Buff. And I'm going to use it at the crease and lower lash line, blending it out. What you're doing here is slightly deepening the crease and the lower lash line, which is the shadow. Make sure you buff and blend really well. For my crease, I'm using a larger blending brush, and for my lower lash line to create those shadows, I'm going to be using a small fluffy brush. See how very lightly we've created those shadows around the eyes. This side looks flat, whereas this side has some dimension. And now we will deepen this using the shade Depth. And I'm going to mostly focus this in the outer corner and the outer crease and the outer lower lash line. When you add depth in the very outer corner, it almost drags your eye upward and outward, making it appear longer and bigger. And of course, it also creates that dimension. For my crease, I'm using a smaller blending brush, and for my lower lash line, I'm using the same fluffy brush that I used for Buff. I'm taking a larger blending brush to make sure the deeper shade of brown blends beautifully into the lighter shade of brown. And then I'm switching brushes to the smaller fluffy brush and using it in my lower lash line. Now, just to give the lower lash line a little bit of contrast, I'm going to be using a nude liner in my waterline. This is the Honey Dude liner from ColourPop. I'm going to apply it in the outer half. Now that looks very subtle, but it still enhances your eye. It gives a more natural look to it. You can also use a white liner, but that'll pop. I don't like my lower lash line to pop too much, so I go in with a nude liner, but you can also use white. Also see on this side how it's given us those beautiful shadows. It's given us the depth. It's made my eyes appear brighter because of the nude liner that I used in my lower lash line. And it's also given that beautiful ombre effect. Now with this kind of contouring, you can apply any other eyeshadow on your lid to mix and match. I'm going to leave it blank today. I just like the way this is looking. It's simple and classy. One thing is, if you have small eyes, avoid using a black liner or a dark liner in your waterline. You can definitely use a winged liner in your top lash line. Another thing that you can do that will separate your eyes is highlight the inner corner, for which I'm going to be using the shade Halo with a small pencil brush. And I'm going to place it right in the inner corner. That's going to brighten the eye, it's going to separate your eye from the other eye, and everything's going to look wide, bright, and nice. So now we have the contours and we have the highlight. The final step is to use a mascara or lashes. Today I'm going to be just using mascara. First, I'm going to curl my lashes with the Sally Hansen curler. And for mascara, I'm using the L'Oreal Paradise Big Deal Mascara. I'm really loving this mascara. It is absolutely stunning. Again, if you prefer, you can use false lashes. By just applying even mascara, it's going to brighten your eyes so much more. Wow, that definitely made a huge difference. Now let's finish the brows and the rest of the... For brows, I'm using the Precisely My Brow from Benefit. This is in the shade 4.5. I'm just using light strokes to make it look as natural as possible. We don't want the brows to be too heavy and weigh down on your lid or your eye. That's going to make it look smaller. So we'll keep it light and fluffy. I'm taking a little bit more of Halo and I'm going to brighten up right underneath my brows. So that's also going to clean up underneath the brows. Let's add some dimension to the face as well. I'm going to add a little bit of bronzer and blush, and I'm going to link all of these products in the description box below, so make sure to check that out. And for my lips, I quickly lined it and applied a gloss. Once again, here's the before and here is the after. What a difference that makes. So every time you feel like something looks either small or flat, add dimension. I love you guys so much, and I will see you soon with a brand new one. Bye guys.